Today's review is brought to you by Kleenex. Let's talk Piece of a Woman. A heartbreaking home birth leads a woman into intense grief, and to make matters worse, she starts to become incredibly isolated from her partner and the rest of her family. Do not get me wrong, I love a depressing movie. I will watch Grave of the Fireflies for a pick-me-up. But there are movies that are naturally depressing, and then there are movies that lead us into a perfect discussion we can have today about Oscar bait. Basic definition, a movie that appears to have been made for the sole purpose of winning an Oscar. Now, a few benchmarks to look for. This doesn't mean that if you have this, it is Oscar bait, but Oscar bait will have either based on a true story, someone having to intensely fight their way out of health problems, and lastly, a movie that gets so sad that you can't help afterwards just go, oh, you did it! The Oscar voters can't even see through the tears as they just mark off the winner. There's an idea that dark or sad automatically equals respect with an audience. That is the strategy Pieces of a Woman is going all in on. If your movie's naturally depressing, if your movie is naturally sad, that's great. But if you throw depressing on top of depressing on top of depressing, you let no room for light, and it's not illuminating anything really about the character, then it's boring. There are a lot of interesting conversations that could be had here, but if all you're gonna do is from scene after scene after scene get more depressing than before, it starts to feel like the movie equivalent of going to the DMV. It is like, enough, just move on. Sure, something's probably gonna go wrong, there might be a life lesson, but you spent the whole day at the DMV. A sub-point to that, and it's the type of thing that makes these types of Oscar bait movies so annoying, it is the grandstanding. The scenes are nothing but characters screaming at each other. Again, there are movies where characters are screaming at each other throughout the entire time. Watch Woman Under the Influence, watch Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. Incredible movies where it's just people screaming in rooms, but guess what? Those movies, they have conversations where it reveals things about characters throughout the entire way. This doesn't. People are yelling at the ocean, people are yelling in courtrooms, people are yelling at dinner parties. Great, you're gonna get your nomination and that's what you wanted, but that is all this is. On the other side, and this is kind of weird because there is actually a reason to watch the movie. At the beginning, there is a birth scene, there's a labor scene at home, and the entire thing is done in one continuous take. It's very easy for this stuff to feel like a gimmick, meaning that it's just not motivated. There's no real reason for it. It's just doing it to show that you can do it. This movie feels very natural in the way that it does its one take, and I think it's worth watching for that. The thing is, the rest of the movie doesn't feel like it has real motivation for what they're doing. It almost feels like the motivation is the one take. Honestly, if you just want to watch that and maybe have it be a short film, that'd actually be really, maybe do that. But hey, if you want to watch the whole thing, it's a Lifetime movie with famous people in it.